And
Wow.
this is this is a classic. I played one of the first films I played during movie nights because it's this really kind of apeshit exploitation film that is about a mad scientist. It's black and white. I don't know what country it originates from, but the version we saw is dubbed. Is it it's a Spanish film, Luther?
Argentinian. I got some good information on this one.
Oh, okay, great. And it's just he sends his monster around in this blink with this light blinking on his head, and he's going out and abducting people who are involved in sexual activity so they can bring them into a controlled environment and harvest their sexual energy to do something like build a race of supermen or something like that. The old megalomaniacal drive to build an army of superhumans or something like that, using the power of sex. And there's this talk about the power of sex and all of that. And then, the protagonist has a great line where he's laying on the bed and he's saying, "I can't stop screwing her," and that kind of thing. And it's a really good film, I think. I think it did drag a little bit in parts, I dare say, but it's still a classic. And I loved it. No, I want to hear the knowledge that Luther has to drop, because sometimes I look up films like this, and even when I think they're a big deal and the obscure film watchers movie catalog where people I might think would have a lot of conversation about this, sometimes I don't find any. So I'm happy to hear that you found some information, Luther.
Yeah, I went digging around, hoping to find this Blu-ray that Vinegar Syndrome had for sale, and I couldn't find it. And then I found it this morning, deep down in the high seas of the internet. I found it, and it has a commentary track on it. It's narrated by the same guy that directed Frankenhooker, which is a kind of a funny coincidence. But anyway, I started listening to it, and this film was in the AGFA, the American Genre Film Archive, and Something Weird Video got a hold of it in this Movie Lab archive, and they had the original copy of it. And then I believe it's Vinegar Syndrome then got a hold of it and distributed it. But along the way, they got Frank Henenlotter to do a commentary on it. And this guy is like an expert in sexploitation movies. He's like an encyclopedia. It was overwhelming, the amount of information that he had on this and little tangential movies and stuff that people had directed and all these crazy details. It was super interesting. And I encourage anybody who's into this sort of thing to check out some of these commentary tracks if they can get a hold of them, or even go and get a hold of another one called That's Sexploitation by Something Weird Video. It's a documentary about this whole genre. Anyway, the US version of this movie, so it was an Argentinian movie, and it started out as like a monster movie with a little bit of sexy to it. And the folks in the US bought that and then inserted a whole bunch of sexy scenes into it once they bought it for cheap.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.